This is our first furniture piece. Now here's what I got. This is the lowboy that we built in the Mastering Woodworking series. I think it was the second project or third, something like that. Anyway, and as is typical, camera girl snagged it. But what happened, when I did this, we had done a little Pembroke table for Woodcraft magazine. So when I went and measured Pembroke and all this, this table, old mahogany table, was 250 years old or whatever it was. Anyway, I paid real close attention and got good photographs of the color. And so I matched it. Now what matched it was I took General Finishes orange dye, and I put the orange dye on, then I came back with General Finishes rosewood stain, a layered color. Now I used the General Finishes Endurovar. That's the oil modified urethane or whatever it is. Anyway, so this finish, I guess, I don't even remember the time element, a year and a half, whenever how long it's been, started to crack. And because the drawer fronts are veneered and the top has got a veneer on it, they were assuming that it was the veneer cracking. I didn't think so. But anyway, I'm like, this ain't gonna work. So here's where I'm at. I stripped it. I don't know what went wrong, but I literally took a razor blade and scraper and scraped it all off and sanded it. Now one of the other things I did, because this is mahogany, and it's a nice mahogany, so it's pretty tight grain, is I didn't grain fill it, but I blotch controlled it. And I used the blotch control just to kind of seal up those pores. Now, we're going to go with a lighter color. You can see underneath the color it was. It was pretty dark, but it matched the old. Now underneath I don't have any issue, but I also know that underneath it didn't have that much finish on it. So again, I'm not sure what went wrong. I've used the Endurovar on several other projects since, and no issue. But sometimes that's just finishing. I mean, things happen. So what I'm going to, so I stripped it. Again, it just scraped off. It just flaked off. And so we decided that we want to go with a lighter color. So what I'm going to use on it is the Mohawk. It's called Ultra Penetrating Stain, and this is light walnut. Now I'm going to say this again. This is probably one of the best colors on walnut, and you're going to see us use it. But I also want to tell you something else. This stuff's about 50 bucks a gallon plus the hazmat, so it's not cheap. But I'm also going to tell you this. Make sure when the segment's up on a slatum, which is asphalt UM, ever how you want to say it, make sure you check that out, because we can take that and match this perfectly. But this is an alcohol slash alkyd based dye. I got blotch control on here. I really can't wipe it. The reason is the alcohol stain is too strong for my blotch control. It'll soften it too quickly, but I can spray it. And that's what I'm gonna do. Now remember, the other thing with the dye is I can put as many coats as I want. Now one of the issues that we have a little bit is that the veneer on it, because it's darker. Now you can't really see this edge yet, but the top's already been dyed. But you can see, can you see a little bit? The veneer is actually a little bit darker than the mahogany. Now why would that be? The reason for that is because the mahogany veneer, mahogany darkens as it ages. So the veneer had darkened. And it's dark, you know, when it went on, it was darker than the new mahogany. So I may have to do a little toning here or mess with it a little bit. Now the other thing I'm going to draw your attention to is I've got to dye the bottom of it. And what I've done, the reason I've got the tape around it is for what's called blowback. What that means is when I spray this dye, if I've got it up on some sticks or something, what's going to happen is that overspray is going to go down, hit that table, and blow back under. It'll bounce under. So by putting this tape around and forming myself kind of like a dam, when I spray this, that's going to prevent that from happening. The other thing is I'm going to lay it flat down on the table so nothing can go under it. If you don't, what can happen is you flip this thing over, you're going to see the stick lines. Now, painter's pyramids. I love them, use them all the time. However, on this mahogany, this is mahogany veneer over MDF. The little points on them things can leave a mark. And I don't want no mark. I'll use it on the bottom, but I'm going to use a stick on the top surface, and you'll see that. Now the other thing we have out here that I don't have in here yet is I got a little cherry table that I'm going to do. Now let me explain where I'm at here a little bit. This happens to be someday in June. But I know we got granddaughters and kids and all that graduating. So camera girls, one of camera girls' youngins. Anyway, so my problem is, today is Wednesday, the graduation thing is Saturday. And she's got this big hole where her lowboy used to be. So I got to get this thing done. And she also wants that little cherry table to finish things out in there. All right. So what I'm going to do, again, by using this alcohol-based dye, it's going to dry 10 minutes, it'll be dry. Pretty warm in here too. Now the other thing I'm going to be using, and something you've not seen yet, is what's called an air-assisted airless. Can we kind of get a little bit up here, Billy? Now what an air-assisted airless is, I've got my finish setting here. It pumps up into a pump and the fluid is compressed, or put under pressure, not compressed, but put under pressure. So we're using about 30 pounds of pressure on the fluid, but I've only got about 10 pound of pressure on the line. Now it kind of, it's kind of like, you know, a latex sprayer or a paint sprayer where it just completely pressurizes the fluid. The pump. Now this is running a .04 needle nozzle. This system's made by Kremlin, and we've had this thing for, oh God, 20 years, 15 years. But the other thing I'm going to use in this is I'm using the Gemini conversion varnish, conversion coating. It's the catalyzed product. Now I've told you, this is not something you want in your home. It's pretty nasty stuff. But like I said, we got a big air exchange up here. We got a big exhaust fan over here, so we're okay. We're going to be moving it through. But the first thing I got to do is get color on this and get ready to go. I hope we don't run into no problems, but if we do, you're going to see it. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm just going to take my Harbor Freight gun, happen to be the one I pick up. Now I've gotten some emails and they've asked me if I think the Harbor Freight's as good as the Wood River. No. A little bit better machining there, but they work most of the time. Anyway, so I'm going to spray the dye on this. Now you notice I strained the dye. Now that's a factory made dye, so I probably wouldn't have to. But if you're using a powder dye, whether a Homestead or WD Lockwood or whatever, you want to make sure you strain it. And don't be surprised if you find a little bit of grains of sand when you do. Now there's a reason for that. Some of the pigments are so fine that are used to make a dye that they actually have to attach them to a sand grain of sorts just to be able to have them in a usable form. It's kind of crazy, but always strain your dyes. All right. Let me get my mask on. We're going to start spraying.